Hi there and welcome to this video. Today I will interview Mr. Julio Suarez, the Assistant Director in the Marketing and Recruitment Department at INSEAD. How are you, Julio, today? Thank you for being
Hi,
here.
Edis. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here. And hi, everyone.
Thank you, Julio. Okay, so first we will talk about the MIM program at INSEAD, and then we will talk about the MIF program, the new program. So in Europe, we have several legacy MIM programs, especially in France and in the UK. Other than excellence and diversity, what differentiates the INSEAD MIM program from other top MIM programs?
Yes, well, thank you so much for the question. I think when you look as you were saying, there's a lot of great offerings in terms of masters in management programs. What differentiates INSEAD is the global scope of how business are conducted. First, as you start in a dual campus setting, you start freshly here in Fontainebleau, 40 minutes away from Paris. Then you go all together to Singapore to explore how businesses are conducted in Asia. You also have opportunities to get exposure to the Silicon Valley, for example, with the San Francisco study trip, to see innovation in China as well, to also see how businesses are conducted in the Middle East. Something that is vital from INSEAD, not only it does not only stay within the masters in management, is the sense of community. It's not that only the boss doing the masters in management or the MBA or the executive MBA, they're focused on silos. They are working together, building synergies. And that's the beauty of what INSEAD represents. The masters in management as a whole, it, it's looking to equip um, candidates with a toolkit that is going to help them launch their career and to go into global companies, to have a global mindset. So if you want to have a global career, definitely the masters in management is the right way to go.
Okay. What about the duration? It's about 1 year program compared to other programs in France, which are like 2 to 3 years, maybe. Is 1 year is sufficient? And what's the advantage of a 1 year MIM program?
The fact, well, thanks so much for the question, but the fact that a program is shorter does not mean that it's less quality. It doesn't mean that you're missing something else. It means that you need to get up to speed really fast and you need to set your priorities. Having a short program allows you to set your priorities straight, and that's what employers are looking for. So our program, as you were saying, it's a program that is 14 to 16 months. That means what's the major change? That you're gonna have 10 months of full-time learning, 6 months here in Fontainebleau, 4 months in Singapore, and then you have a 4 to 6 months professional exposure period, which is an internship that you can do wherever you want in the world.
Great, great. So let's talk now about the admissions. I have a lot of questions about admissions. So you mainly target students who hold a bachelor's degree or maybe a master's degree already. Do you have a specific list of target schools from which you choose your students? If someone is coming from a not very well-known school, does he have his chances to get the admission if all other criteria are met?
So yeah, I mean, we don't have a magic list of schools that we're looking for. To answer shortly, as you were saying, if all the criteria are met, if we see the motivation, and most importantly, how INSEAD can help them achieve their goals, that's definitely the magic potion that is going to allow candidates to integrate the program. What is important, and I think it's a misconception from a lot of people, is you don't have to come from a business background to join a master's in management. We have seen people who studied languages, who studied law, who studied engineering, who studied psychology, who joined the program because that's the objective of doing a MIM. Doing a MIM is going to equip you with general management knowledge who will allow you to navigate all of the areas of business.
Okay, thank you, Julio. This is very important because we see for other legacy programs, especially in France, the bachelor degree is very important. If you come from a not well-ranked university, the chances are not big. So
Indeed.
that's very important, I think, for INSEAD, especially for the values of INSEAD.
Yeah, of course. And I think the fact that you don't have to come from a selected background in order to integrate the program. The most important thing, I think, when you look at diversity, and that's something that you mentioned at the beginning, diversity is not only where you come from, it's also the viewpoint you have from your background. And I think if we have people coming from the same background or from the same school, I think it will be very biased the way discussions are going to be held in class. And I think if you have someone coming from the arts, maybe that person has another way of seeing an issue that other people who come from a BBA, for instance, are not looking rightly.
Exactly, exactly. So now let's talk about university transcripts. A lot of people are worrying about this topic. How important are they? If someone has average grades, can they still apply and get admitted to INSEAD MIM or not?
Definitely, I think so. As many people see on the brochure, we have three admission criteria: the academic performance, the international motivation, and the ability to contribute. When you talk about the academic performance, we're looking at having someone with grades that are okay. I mean, does not have to be the top of the class. I mean, it helps, but it's not the most important thing. If you're a little bit worried in terms of your grades, I think you can also compensate it with your GMAT or GRE scores, and you can go the other way around. If you're not that convinced about your GMAT or GRE scores, you can also compensate it with your grades. So there's not a perfect formula, and I think grades, yes, are important. We see the performance on the candidates, we see the courses the candidates have taken, but there are also other elements that are essential, like the essays.
Exactly, exactly. We'll talk about them later. So, some candidates also worry about their professional experience. Do they need to have big brand names on their CV, or could a normal but meaningful experience be sufficient?
Absolutely not. I mean, you have candidates who do not have any professional experience at all.
Really?
Because when you join the Masters in Management, it's intended for those who do not
I mean,
have
no
any.
internships. I mean, I'm speaking about internships here.
So yes, you do have candidates who do not have internship experiences who join the program. Or for example, they have decided instead of doing an internship, they went on a volunteer work. I know a candidate, a Belgian candidate, who instead of doing internships in a big firm, he did volunteering in Kenya to join business entrepreneurs with local leaders to try to build synergies. And the project is called Close the Gap. So that's also a way to show professional exposure. Of course, if you have some experience in an internship, that's something that adds up. But it's not mandatory to have an internship.
Okay, great, great, very good. So now also let's talk about international experience. I know for the MBA, it's very, very, very important, the international experience, especially at INSEAD. So how important international experience is it mandatory for the MIM? If someone lived in one country only, does he still have his chances at INSEAD MIM or not?
There are many variables in that, Anis, and I would like to thank you for the question. I do get it quite a lot. Um, yes, I mean the international element. It's something essential within INSEAD. It's something that is deep rooted. It comes from the very foundations of the school. The international motivation is can be shown in different ways. There are many variables into it. So it can be if you speak several languages, if you have studied or lived in a different country, if you have done an internship in an international brand, or if you work with international clients. More about the experience per se, it's about the mindset. International elements is part of the very foundations of the school. We don't have a predominant nationality in class. And the most important thing is that you're not only comfortable with people from different parts of the world. A lot of people say that. It's that you're willing to learn from them and then to learn from you. Because some things you need to be able to apprehend and to get impregnated by all this cultural diversity within the school. And that's essential because if you want to have a global career, you need to have a global mindset.
Exactly, exactly. So now let's talk about the GMAT, which is also an important factor. How important is it, and what score should candidates be targeting on the GMAT Focus Edition? I have many candidates who scored 585, 595, and still hesitate to apply because they read online that you absolutely need at least 645. I always encourage them to apply because I know their scores are good, but some of them still refuse. What would you say to these candidates?
Well, it's not the first time that I that I listened to that, and thank you so much for the question. So, in short, the way that you need to look at the exam is like when you take a photo. I'm gonna use an analogy right now. When you take a photo, sometimes you close your eyes or you move, but that doesn't mean that you're not photogenic. It means that it was not the right moment. An exam is just that. It's just a moment in which you took an exam and perhaps you were having a bad day, there were some connectivity issues, you were stressed, but that does not determine if you're going to get into the program. To get short into normally we recommend for the GMAT focus to have at least 565 to be on the 68th percentile in quant, verbal, and data insights. If you choose to take the GRE, 320 and 88th percentile in quant and verbal. We have no preference between the GMAT or the GRE.
So just very important thing for the GMAT, 60 percentile on the 3 sections.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, with 565 minimum. So, and for the GRE, you need 320 with 80 percentile on each section.
Yes, indeed. And also, but at the same time, I'm telling you these scores because these are recommended scores.
Yeah.
But imagine you have a candidate that comes up. I have a 555. Can I apply for the program? Am I going to be considered? First, the GMAT is not the most important thing. The GMAT is one of the many things that we look in the application. We do not reject candidates on the basis of the GMAT. The worst thing that we can tell you is to take another test, which has happened in the past.
Yes.
So I prefer that if you have a score that is close to what I recommended previously, to focus that energy on the essay. So getting your story straight. And you can address the GMAT in the optional essay.
Exactly. Great. So now, very important question. Diversity and inclusion are at the core of INSEAD's values. I know INSEAD does its best to build an international and highly diverse cohort. However, you may sometimes receive a large number of strong applications from a certain countries.
Mhm.
You set quotas for specific nationalities? Do you encourage applications from countries that are typically underrepresented? Does nationality have an impact on the admission decision?
So thank you so much for the question. So in short, is we don't have a preference for nationality and the other. Okay. What is true, and that's something that you mentioned in your question. We don't have more than 15% of people from the same country in the class. In certain countries, let's take an example of a big country that has billions of people. Of course, it's going to be more competitive if you see a lot of applicants
Exactly.
from there. But countries that we are super happy to have countries that perhaps are not that represented in the pool of applicants. I can cite you a couple of examples. For example, once I had someone from Albania. So it's quite interesting because it's that also adds up into the diversity but we do not have a preference in terms of the nationality.
Okay, great. So to summarize, it's maximum 15% from one country, which is
Yes.
logic. I mean, 15% is a lot for one country. It's very logic, I think, to maintain diversity. And if someone coming from underrepresented country, usually he has a small maybe plus because he adds more value, more diversity, which is logic.
Yeah. And I also want to address a little thing. Sometimes you have people have dual nationalities or triple nationalities, and they get the question, which nationality I put in the application form? You put as many nationalities as
Yeah, exactly. So let's move to the CV and essays. I know this part is very important in the application. What tips would you give to help candidates prepare a strong CV and craft compelling essays? And this is the first question. Second question, what you are doing concerning people are using AI to generate their
Yes.
essays?
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for those two questions. I'm going to address the first one, and then we'll talk about this burning topic of AI.
Yeah.
Okay. So first thing, the CV. The CV is your presentation card. Imagine, I love using analogies and so imagine that you're window shopping and you see something that is really appealing and you want to get into the store. That's the objective of the CV. You don't have to mention everything, but you have to mention enough information for someone who does not know you. In recent studies, we have seen that the average person has, I don't know what, 3 minutes to read over a CV. That's not a lot of time. So we need to cause an impression. How a good CV looks like? If you have a short introduction about yourself, if you mention, for example, in your education, the institution you went in, if you have any honors, if you participated in any clubs, if you can mention some of the courses that you made, if you already did your thesis, what topic it is, if you have some professional experience, you can limit it to 2 or 3 bullet points mentioning some of the KPIs, some of the main issues, so you can see the impact you have generated in the company you were. And very important, you're not only a grade, you're not only an employee or a trainee, you're also a person. And it's very important to mention the languages you speak. If I can give you a framework, the European framework for languages ranging from A1 to C2, it's a very good point of reference. Any extracurricular activities. So if you do any sports, if you have participated in any competitions, if you have done any volunteer work, people mention, I have traveled to 20 countries. You can mention some of the countries you've traveled. If you read books, you can see what kind of genres you do. Something that I'm seeing recently is Formula One. So that's something that people can mention. So just feel free to voice out your passions. And that's something I encourage, and I will piggyback into the essays. So how a good essay looks like. You can divide it into 5 parts. The first part is talking about your core values. What are your core values? The things that are unchangeable, the things that have defined your decisions, academically speaking, personally speaking, and professionally speaking. These are the elements that have made you the person you are right now. That moves to the second element, that is building a timeline, talking about the things you have done. Try to set events during the essays to build a timeline so we can try to locate you over a period of time. Here's an essay about telling about the things you have done after graduating from high school until now. That's the perfect point to do so. Third point is, I think when you considering a master's in any school, I'm not talking about INSEAD anymore, you're kind of in a turning point where you're asking yourself some questions about the future. You're saying, okay, I'm feeling a gap. What do I do here? What do I do there? And I think it's good to mention that and to integrate that into the narrative of the essays, because first, that shows distancing, and self-awareness. And that's very important for these kind of programs. Fourth is, why a master's in management? What are the long-term benefits? How do you see yourself in the future after the master's in management, regardless of the school? And last but not least, why a master's in management for INSEAD is the next step? How do you see yourself thrive in the school? What kind of initiatives call your attention? How do you see yourself combining with INSEAD in the future? And I think that builds a really good circle with the core values and the values of the school.
Exactly.
And that builds the last point, which is reciprocity. Reciprocity is, yes, the school is going to bring a lot of things into your career and your profile, but you're also going to enrich the class experience with your viewpoint and your input.
Great. It's very clear. I think a lot of candidates will benefit from your answer to this question. Very important. Thank you, Julio.
Great pleasure.
Yeah. So the second question about AI. Nowadays, we can read the text. We can just sense it. It's not genuine. It's AI. So even if someone is trying to manipulate and doing stuffs, we can sense it. It's not genuine. What are you doing about this people using a lot AI, relying heavily on AI for the
That's awesome. Yes, I mean, AI is here to stay. So I think the way that we have taken AI with INSEAD is to embrace it, to try to integrate it into the programs. I'm talking about the course program right now. But in terms of the application process, I think we also want you to be genuine. I think AI is great if you wanted to proofread some of the text, if you want to, for example, say, okay, am I clear here or there? But it would be really not personal, not the spirit of the school, not adapted to an admissions process if you ask AI to draft an essay for you.
exactly.
I think the best piece of advice I can give is to make proofread the essays to someone who you trust. I think it's essential because the essays is something super personal. It's not every day that you're going to reflect about your life and your career goals. And it's very important that you manage to convey a message. AI is excellent if you want to use it as an assistant to proofread or to give you a few food for thought. But use it to do the job instead of you. I wouldn't recommend it.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's talk about interviews. We have two types of interviews at the INSEAD MIM. How important is the Cairo interview, and what do you look for in candidates?
Okay, perfect. So I did get a question quite a lot. There's a lot of stress. So with the video interviews, is the rationale is that we see a lot of things on paper. We see your documents, we see your essays, and we want to see who you are as a person, how you express yourself. So it's 5 questions. You got 45 seconds. You have four oral questions and one written question. You got 45 seconds to think and 1 minute to answer. The idea is to see how you can structure an idea, an answer over a short period of time. The questions are not business related or academic related. It's more about who is an inspiration for you? How do you see yourself in 5 years? Tell us about a time you failed and how did you overcome the challenge? You can take as many mock questions as you want before the start. So that's a good way to practice. It doesn't have to be super formal. You don't have to be a newspaper reporter to do that. You just have to be genuine, try to express yourself. Use those 45 seconds not to write an answer, just to make a layout and try to structure your ideas the best way as possible.
So you are looking mainly to know who is the person behind the application and to know if he can structure very well a question and answer it clearly. Great. Concerning the alumni interview, my question is, what advice would you give and how candidates can get ready for the alumni interview?
Excellent. So if you reach to the alumni interview stage, is because there's a genuine interest to have you on board. And the main idea is to see how do you fit into the INSEAD values. One way you should not see the alumni interviews is a one-sided conversation. They're expecting you to ask questions. And that's also a good way you can do a double check about how INSEAD has been impactful for their careers. They're expecting that. It doesn't have to be super formal. Prepare your interview, uh, get to know your interviewer, try to explore a little bit more, prepare some questions from his or her background. I think that's also something that is appreciated. And be ready to mention what are the reasons to how do you, are you willing to contribute to the INSEAD community. You should have some ideas to do so. And the last one, it may sound a little bit silly, but always send a thank you note. They do this on a volunteer basis. They're not being paid for that. They do that because they love the school and because they want to keep the legacy of the school for the years to come. And I think it's something it adds a nice touch.
Very important tips, Julio, today. Candidates will really benefit from your tips. Let's talk about the new MIF program. Very important. Could you tell me more about it?
Yeah.
How does this program differentiate itself from other finance programs?
Definitely, definitely. Well, we're super glad to announce the newly announced Masters in Finance that will start for the upcoming, not this September, the other September. and it's intended to equip professionals at pre-experience program that is intended for those who want to target specifically the financial sector. What are some of the elements that are differentiating from the program? First, the global community from INSEAD is something that is quite similar across all the other programs. The financial acumen, the financial expertise, how you can leverage AI in the financial sector, and also exposure to top tier employers in the area. It's a program that has a similar length like the Masters in Management, and it has the dual campus configuration. It's starting in Fontainebleau and going to Singapore. One of the tweaks is about the tracks. So we have one track in wealth management, and we have another one in investment banking, and we'll have another one that will be mutualized with the MIM. It hasn't been defined yet, but once we have the details, we'll be happily communicating them.
Great. Good luck with this program. So, how about the admissions process? Is it similar to the MIM admissions?
Yes, it's quite similar. I think for those who are considering a master's in finance, bear in mind that you will need to have quant knowledge. You will need to have a little bit of quant either in your courses or in your background, because, as you know, finance is quite quant
Oriented.
oriented, exactly. And it's something that we take into account. But the process and the criteria are quite the same: academic performance, ability to contribute, and international motivation.
Okay, so concerning GMAT and GRE, you will focus more on the quant section. You will ask for
Yes.
a bit more on the quant section. Okay, great. So now, very important questions. We are currently seeing major developments in the AI sector with companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and others transforming entire industries. Many legacy sectors, including software and cybersecurity, are already being heavily disrupted.
Mhm,
AI is also expected to significantly impact banking
mhm,
and management consulting,
mhm.
which is very important to INSEAD candidates. In this context, what is INSEAD doing to remain at the forefront in this new era? How is the school adapting its curriculum, research, and partnerships to prepare students to lead in an AI-driven world?
Perfect. Thanks so much for the question. So I think, as you mentioned it, AI is changing completely our lives. We have seen it right now. Everyone has at least heard about the word. With INSEAD, the approach we have taken is to embrace it. The moment OpenAI started, we started organizing a series of AI forums across all of our campuses. We started in San Francisco, then we did one in Singapore, then in Fontainebleau, and then in Abu Dhabi, to bring AI experts and AI investors to communicate and talk about the industry within the INSEAD spaces. We're super happy to announce that we have the AI Venture Lab that brings AI startups to possible investors, and we have a lot of incubated AI scale-ups and startups that are being benefited from that program. Within the curriculum, we have at least 10 electives on AI, and all of the candidates who integrate the program, they have a 1-year pro license for Perplexity for their studies. And it's something that it's encouraged. There's a code, of course. There's different rules that are being implemented. That's something it's explained during the program. Research, it's on top of the topic, and not only now that with generative AI, but very much in the past. There was one professor who gave a master class a couple of months ago how AI has been there for a long time, but now it has been the fuss. So uh, yes, AI is here, and we are adapting to all of our contents to be on the forefront, as you say, in the current era. And that's part of the endeavors that we are conducting.
Exactly. But now a lot of people are worried because uh, most of people who goes to who do a master's in management or MBA, they want to go into consulting, into the banking, investment banking sectors. And these two sectors are, I mean, AI can replace many of the functions in these sectors. Now, AI can manipulate an Excel sheet very well. It can create a presentation better than the McKinsey presentation even. They can maybe do the research, present a feasibility study, recommend. I mean, a lot of people, I see a lot of articles online saying that there will be a lot of layoffs in the consulting sector and the banking sector. And we know people are doing MIM and MBA mainly to go work in these sectors. And some people go even farther, and they say that the AI later on will kill the MBA and the MIM programs. Are you worried about the AI revolution, or not at all?
No, I wouldn't say we're not worried. I would say that programs, and not talking about INSEAD anymore, but I think programs adapt to the trends of the market. In the past, it was sustainability, or it was right now it's AI. In the future, who knows what? I think program education is the need for education will always be there, and I think we always need to have the human touch and the human management in order to harness all the elements related to AI at the moment. Yes, it's true. We have seen a decrease, especially from the MBA in terms of recruitment. That's not anodyne. We have seen that that the numbers have decreased in across many schools in the world. Um, and I think the approach that we need to take from a careers point of view, and I'm talking about INSEAD again, is what value do I bring? What kind of talent countries and companies are looking for, and how I can be more competitive in an area where AI is disrupting jobs, where geopolitical tensions are also affecting the market. How can I be more competitive? And that's part of the reflections that we had with our CDC. You have a dedicated coach, you have an implement engagement specialist who tells you this is the skill set that you need in order to succeed in this and this and this and this other market. And apart from that, it's not only AI that is going to do the job and everything. And when you do an MBA or when you do a master's in management, when you do a management program in general, it's not only about the content, because if you extrapolate it, it's going to be quite the same in with a few tweaks here and there. What differentiates is also the network, the community that you're tapping into, the experience. If you have an engaged community who has a global mindset, who at one moment you say, okay, I'm working in France, but I would like to work in Japan. If you don't have the right network with the right connections, it's going to be very difficult, for example, to share your ideas or to find another job, because you need to have that deep engagement. And that's one of the selling points for business schools.
I think also about leadership. I mean, when you are at INSEAD, you learn to become a better leader. And AI cannot teach you to become a better leader. AI is not a leader. AI is a machine at the end. So,
Indeed.
and the world now is needs leaders. So, and cannot be this leadership cannot be replaced by AI. This is also, I think, very important point.
Yeah, indeed. I think leadership, as you mentioned, leadership is not something that you can learn in a machine. These are things that you practice and you integrate with interaction. And interaction is essential. I think in an era where we're trying to distantiate ourselves with technology, having the human touch and having um, the human collaboration is one of the main elements that will differentiate who leaders from the future.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Julio, for this interview today. very helpful tips. I think candidates will be happy to watch this video. So happy to have you today. And for those who wants to prepare their GMAT or their GRE for the MIM program, MIF program, MBA program, and want some help also on the applications, you can find my email and my WhatsApp number in the description of this video, and you can contact me anytime you want. Thank you again, Julio, and have a nice day.
You too, Anis. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.